It's Max
I
Headroom, Stu.
know. I kind of jumped the gun on the music intro there. Hit the button
That
a
was
little.
like, I thought that was the cleanest one we've had in a long time.
See, there you go. I shouldn't have said anything. I just screwed it up. Yeah, normally, because it doesn't automatically transition. For those of you who don't know, the amount of amazing high level production that goes into all this, it doesn't transition automatically from the little countdown thing. I only use the countdown because when I hit the go live button, it takes a few seconds to kind of turn on and get going and so forth. So the countdown kind of buys us the time to get everything, ready to go, if you will. And then I go to the music intro, which Charlie, if you don't know this, Charlie wrote that and played it on his guitar, right? Guitar, that's how you say it?
Guitar.
The guitar.
Yeah.
So, funny side story, my kid, when she was real little, she called it a keytar, which is also an instrument, but not a guitar.
Very
Uh,
popular in the 80s.
yes, and it should stay there. Um,
Yes, I agree.
so anyway, so I put the countdown on, and then I can hit live. I can check to make sure my YouTube is feeding because I use StreamYard, which has to go to your YouTube account live. We're not streaming directly to YouTube, so it gives me a lot, the 20 seconds or whatever to check that. And then I have to go um, change to the music intro. And then that little music intro plays, and then we're ready to go and bring you all the thing that is low end card goodness from there. So that's the production timeline to launch this thing off. So yeah, good times. We're getting better at it, I think. Maybe it's time we change up the show a little bit. Change up the intro and stuff. I don't know.
Yeah,
We'll see.
maybe.
We could use some new juice, you
Yeah.
know? We're getting old here. I mean, we were old when we started, but now we're older, you know. There's a level of old where it becomes not cool to be older, right? Or something
Right.
like that. I don't know.
Right.
Anyway, I'm wearing my
Gave,
glasses
gave me
tonight.
gave me time to go get Stu too, because Stu was still in his little crate from a trip up north this weekend. I forgot to pull him out.
Oh,
I've
oops.
been so busy.
Yeah, no, that shit happens for sure. My Stu's always right here. He doesn't ever travel, so I never go anywhere. Um, all right, so tonight we're kind of free for alling it. If that's is that a word? Free for alling? I don't know. It is now.
It's different from
Um,
free falling.
free falling, right?
There'll be no Tom Petty
Uh,
in this thing.
oh, I know. As soon as you said it, I'm like, I can't. Now I got Tom Petty in my head for the rest of the night. Last Dance with Mary Jane. I mean, the
Yeah,
whole
yeah,
the whole thing.
classic.
We're uh, um, amazing artist anyway. But now I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, we don't have any specific topics for tonight. We're shooting from the hip here. We thought it was a good time to do that. We had a lot going on the last few weeks with the national and Fanatics Fest is going on this
Yep, nice
weekend. I
stuff.
think right this weekend. So I thought maybe some people would have questions about that or comments about that. Sounds like it's mainly just going to be a media event with a really tiny card show off in the corner. From what I understand,
Yeah.
200 tables, 250 tables. It's also at the same time as the East Coast National, which is also in the same city. So kind of interesting that they chose that time frame and that location. So there's a card show not what 20 minutes from there or something that's got like 600 tables. That's a pretty big one.
Yeah.
So if you want a card show, if you're gonna be going to Fanatics Fest, or if you're thinking of going to Fanatics Fest, you can plan yourself some card show time away from there if you want, and get away from a little bit of that circus and just go to a good old fashioned card show and pick up some cool stuff over there. We are going to neither, or at least I'm not. I don't think you are. Are you, Trent?
I am not either.
No, the Fan Fest thing doesn't. Unless I was like media guest or something, which I've done with Comic Cons, I don't think I would go.
Yeah, so what piqued my interest in it is there's a lot of good wrestling talent that's going to be there. That if I were to go, it would probably be to get some autos from some of the wrestling talent.
Olivia Dunn.
I heard a lot about that, and I'm like, I would spend some time with Rhea Ripley before Olivia Dunn any day.
Okay, so moving on. We are not going to be at the Fanatics Fest this year. We'll see. They might travel. They might do something different with it going forward. I don't know. I think they feel like they have a tough. Well, maybe now they do a West Coast since they basically own all online sales of Burbank. But yeah, right, East Coast. West Side.
I got to work on that because some of our football calls are east and west, and my fingers don't naturally go like that.
Yeah, I did. I went to West De Pere, so I did West Side for like a lot of things
Yeah.
because it was big at that time. That was the mid '90s when I was in high school. So it was West
Yep.
Side versus East Side, Tupac versus Biggie, all that
Yeah.
stuff. Fortunately, neither of them made it out alive, but kind of a foolish little rivalry there. But um, yeah, so we figure we would just kind of shoot from the hip tonight. Fanatics Fest we know is coming up. We've got Fanatics Live is just about built for like major selling. Should be in the next month, so that's gonna be really interesting to see how that goes. And when Burbank leaves, as far as I know, Burbank still has listings on eBay. So I'm not quite sure what that expiration date is for that. They've, as far as I know, and I don't do a ton of research into this stuff. I run my business. Um, Burbank doesn't really impact that directly, but as far as I know, they still haven't come out and said anything, right? Like, hey, we're doing other than that one article where they said, "Oh yeah, we're going to Fanatics and we're coming out," but they haven't said like when they're leaving eBay and when you can buy their stuff on Fanatics Live and so on. So I'm guessing that
Yeah.
timeline hasn't been figured out yet.
I have not seen anything definitive either. And they do still have listings out there.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, I did
yeah,
see that.
is it going to be organic? Do they have a cutoff date? I don't know what their plan is.
I mean, I would think like, what are they going to do? Like, take some listings down at a time? Like, that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. You would think you would just go close my store because you can literally, if you go into your profile, you can literally hit a close my store button, and that's it. It's done.
Yep. Shut it
And
all down at once.
I would venture to guess their agreement with Fanatics, that's what they're supposed to do whenever Fanatics says, "Okay, you gotta turn this thing off per our agreement, contract, whatever." And I'm sure that's what they would do because if you have three, let's say they got 2 million listings on there, what are you gonna pull 1,000 of them off a day? I mean, like, you're not gonna go in and end each listing individually. You're just gonna close the store. Wouldn't make much sense to do it any other way, time wise.
I'm kind of wondering. I'm looking at newly listed. Let's see if they're still actively listing. Doesn't really tell me the listing date as a seller, does it?
No, no. Even when you go into your own listings, you have to go into the selling. Um, well,
Side of it,
you
yeah.
can go into the individual listing and it'll tell you when you listed it, but yeah, only as the seller itself.
Oh, what about see all details?
I don't think it has that in there.
No, it doesn't have it there either.
No.
So
we'll just have to, kind of pay attention to that. It obviously matters. It's definitely significant enough. So, um, I'm not going to watch it like a hawk or anything, but I'll definitely be checking here and there to see if they still got stuff out there, and Fanatics Live gets stuff out there. But if Fanatics Live takes a big cut into eBay, and we talked about this a little bit last week, eBay will have to respond because that's happened with other top income producing categories for eBay, where someone's come in and thrown a huge wrench in it and taken a bunch of business away, and then eBay's had to make some adjustments to try to keep those sellers. So that's what I'm more interested in than anything right now. I mean, obviously, I would like an increase in sales. So, if Burbank's 2 million listings go away, and that gets me some business, that's great too. But I'm really waiting to see eBay's reply more than anything to see if they're gonna do something to try to keep the rest of us around.
Now, did you tell me that you heard some rumblings on some other content channels that another one of the big sellers on eBay was possibly leaving?
No, I didn't say that.
No, thought there was a second one that you were hearing rumblings about now.
Well, no, I did talk about another big seller, Greg Morris Cards.
Hmm.
I told you this privately. I don't think it was on the show. But I sent you a link because Greg Morris Cards is now selling most of their cards through their own website. So they have listed items because Greg Morris does a lot of auctions. Okay,
Right.
they do mostly set breaks, vintage set breaks, and then they auction them, and they are just known for the quality and the conciseness of their listings and accurate descriptions and prompt delivery and customer service and blah blah, all the things that every store should do. They
Hmm.
actually do. Um, Anyway, so they've got, like, a huge customer base. They don't really need eBay anymore other than it hosts, right? Hosts their
Yeah.
items. So now they're doing a lot more business on their own website. Yeah, I don't know how long they've been running it, but it's just been popping up more and more that I've seen where
Yeah.
people are shopping directly with Greg Morris card. So, I would think if they get that going enough where they don't need the eBay anymore, they'll kill the eBay because of the costs. That saves them that
Yeah.
15 to 20% or, whatever it ends up costing you when you have a auction sell. So, and I think they can do some other things. If you're only bidding on their auctions, they get all the eyes on it versus on eBay. If they do a set break and somebody else does a set break at the same time, you got, now your bidders are going to be kind of spread out.
Hmm. Hmm.
They can control a little if they're an auction, more of an auction house type company. You wanna be able to control the terms of those much as you can because you don't wanna lose your shirt on the auction.
Right.
Um, yeah, I think so. I kinda sent it to you sidebar. I think I sent you the link of their store to their
Yeah, I think
website,
you did.
and, but it got me thinking because I was like, "Okay, well, we talked about the watches, and we talked about the guitars, and we talked about the shoes, sneakers." Um And it's like, okay, well, now Burbank left. Now Greg Morris is finding a foothold on it with its own platform. And they're the biggest seller. I know they're either number one or number two, and Burbank is number one or number two. I'm not quite sure which one ranks higher than the other. Don't really care.
Yeah.
But they're too big. They're the two biggest. So I can't, other than ComC, which ComC that's more of the PW.
County's different.
Yeah, that's more of the PWCC type thing. They're just doing, they're just listing for other people.
Yeah.
So, and they're not to the status level, I would say is maybe the best way to put it, of Burbank or Greg Morris cards. Like most people don't really care for ComC. They don't like their customer service and their shipping
Yeah.
is too long and blah, 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 blah. Fees are too high, all that stuff. Um, so Yeah, so those are 2 major players that are now, one made a huge move to get out of eBay entirely, and the other one is really built in a spot now where they can start to wean off of eBay. I don't know if
Right.
they're just gonna cut the cord or, they're gonna start doing other stuff. They're gonna do some live selling on there, I don't know, but, their website's pretty solid. It's kinda cool. You can search a card, and then you can look for it by auction, you can look for it by fixed price, and so there's all these great ways. That's hard to do in your own e-commerce site. That takes a lot of
Right.
setup and a lot of computing power and um, staff. You need people that can run some of that stuff too. So it seems like they've got a pretty solid plan to move forward, and it sounds like they're moving forward without eBay. Um, I don't know. It could get interesting. Hopefully interesting in a good way for us. one thing that happens when the economy gets funky, I don't wanna say recession, I don't wanna get into any
You said
stuff.
the R word.
Yeah. Well, that's okay. When in 2008, when people couldn't even say recession, it was actually a depression. So,
Right.
that is the evil word. But if you go to economics,
The technical definition, yeah.
right, the definition is, the length of time of down, certain measurements, whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was an economics major, so that's all going to be in my brain till the day I die, whether I like it or not. Um, But anyway, what happens is a lot of these places where you were going, well, I'm selling all these cards. I don't really care about the eBay. Now you're going, my numbers aren't quite as good as they were last year. Where can I cut? Well, you don't want to necessarily attack your customers. That's kind of the last person you want to go after. So you kind of go to, and they don't have shareholders. As far as I know, neither of them are publicly traded, privately owned. So then they got to go, okay, well, who do I cut out of this deal? Well, the middleman. That makes the most sense. So the motivation is there to really make those changes now, and it's gonna affect eBay for sure.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the cat card category is their number one selling spot on the website. So,
It's
uh,
not guitars.
it's not guitars. No. No, I would assume sneakers is way up there. I would think that's a pretty big one. Maybe art, fine art. I don't know. Is that an eBay thing? I don't know if people buy art on eBay 'cause that's usually older people.
Comics.
Um, maybe. Mm. Anyway, um,
Anywho,
so I think that's going to be a topic that we're going to have to follow for a while and kind of see where that goes.
yeah.
I did not do. I think the next eBay Live is coming up. I saw a registration thing. I didn't sign up for it. I got stuff going on right now, but
I haven't done one
um,
of those yet.
it's kind of fun. It's pretty generic. So when you get in, it's a lot of stuff that doesn't really pertain to what you do. But there's bits and pieces in there that you can pull something out of. You can always like check up on it after too. You don't have to be at the
Yeah, I've seen that. They
actual live.
record them and you can watch it later.
So yeah. Um and I'll do that sometimes if I have the time or I'm just got something else running in the background or whatever. But I haven't
That's how I
found
do a
like
lot of my corporate calls at work.
yeah, right.
Don't attend in
Um
person. Just wait till they release the video.
right, exactly. What do you need to be there for? Uh but I haven't I've heard more groundbreaking things from our group, our Discord, and our live chats and things like that pertaining to what I do than I have on any of those eBay Live.
Yeah,
So to me, I'd rather spend my time and invest my time in the group that actually like impacts what I do, um, and what I want to do in the future. So I know you don't normally watch my videos, but did you see my video today?
I didn't know you put one out today. I didn't get a
Eh?
notification.
Oh,
No, wait.
geez, I got.
I did see it. You had a sales video along with
Mhm.
some tips there on how to sell more cards.
Yeah, I just kind of wanted to cover a little bit of ways, not really how to sell more cards, but how to obtain inventories that allows you to sell more cards, like bigger quantities and things like
Sure.
that. So I was kind of going over some of that, um, but yeah, that's kind of the stuff that I think like actually pertains to what we do, versus hey, let's start a call center and have field calls from customer. Like, dude, who's gonna do that?
Yeah.
Um, and that's a lot of the stuff that kind of pops up on eBay Live and
Okay.
things about like doing different how to do the photography, right? So how to put a t-shirt out the right way and how to take the correct measurements and get that on your listing, so you don't get less returns and that stuff is valuable information. I can see that. It's just not for me. It
Yeah.
doesn't do the stuff for me. So but anyway, and I don't wanna discourage anyone from participating in them. They're great, they're free. If you're brand new to eBay or you have no clue how to run a business, you have no experience, you have no education in it, it's a great way to get some base. But then you have to try to find things that apply to what you're actually doing too. eBay is so broad, so broad. I mean, I don't think there's another platform, on the internet that sells the variety. I mean, they sell anything from a Bic pen to a piece of real estate.
I love it when I'm
It's
going to
everywhere.
list a card and sometimes it gives me auto parts.
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
Is this the right fit for your vehicle? I don't know. It's a 2023 Aaron Judge card.
right. Sometimes I get some where like the card looks like a ticket and it'll ask me like what game and what year and what
Oh
event
yeah.
it was to
Hmm.
and stuff. And I'm like, well, it's a trading card from 1999, but yeah. And eBay does the app and the website I think does a pretty good job overall, realizing what's actually going on. Especially in our category, they have put a lot of time and effort into it. I can vouch for that. Are they ever gonna be exactly where we want them to be? I don't think you can get there with that because we all want a few things a little different besides, but,
Right.
just from when I started, it's a world better than where we were at, so, um, yeah, you gotta be thankful sometimes for what you got too.
Yeah.
I wish the costs would start to go down because I think they're just encouraging more and more people to find other ways to sell because they're just trying to squeeze you too much, and with the
Yeah.
promotion fees and everything else, it's like people are like, okay, I didn't mind eBay when you took your 6%, but now it's like it's getting up there. Um, I was thinking about that too. With okay, so if Greg Morris virtually leaves, and Burbank leaves, what is that going to do to the promotional rates? Because what are those guys pumping out for promotion?
Do you think they use the
With that
promotion
volume of
rates a
cards.
lot?
I think they do. Because well, okay, Greg Morris, maybe not, especially because they're doing auctions. Because if you look at what it costs for a promotion on an auction, it's expensive.
Is it?
Yeah, it's like a buck, $2,
Ooh.
for any auction. Yeah, it's like a flat fee because they don't know where the price is going to end at, so
Yeah.
it's not a percentage. So probably not too much with them, but Burbank, yeah, because they're a volume seller. You do whatever you do to get your volume. That's you think people are like, "Oh, well, Walmart just gets it that cheap, so they sell it that cheap." No, Walmart sells like 30% of their products at a loss. They do it because they get you into the store and then you buy the other stuff that gets them a profit.
Right.
They don't care if they take a loss on that. That's the term loss leader, right? Um,
Yep.
you have to have your products that those key products where it's not a huge loss to you, but it's enough of a loss to get that customer in. And then you get them on the other stuff. Because who goes to Walmart and buys one thing?
Nobody.
You know, pretty rare, pretty rare. So for them, to take a few percent loss here or there on I guess if you went in and bought just the loss leader items, they'd lose money on you. But you don't even know what those items are necessarily. So,
Right.
um, but anyway, yeah. So I think as far as Burbank goes, I'm pretty sure that they're hitting those promotion rates. Ooh, pretty hard on a lot of cards. So we'll see. And they were doing those 99 cent, buy it nows. Well, they're
They
gone.
still
Then
are.
we don't. Then nobody has to do 99 cents anymore, which is
Right.
awesome because that's a loss, right? That's their
Yeah.
loss leader. If you buy a single 99 cent item, although they charge shipping though, don't they? I believe.
I believe so.
Yeah.
Yes.
So maybe for them it doesn't really matter that much, but different pricing strategies um, at play there. But yeah, and it'll be interesting to see what they list and what they price at with Fanatics too. Maybe they can go even cheaper. Maybe that's their play. Maybe we'll go even cheaper on Fanatics, and then that will get the customers from eBay. Because everybody wants to pay the least amount they can, of course. So yeah, those are probably the big things that we're sort of sitting out there right now that we're kind of looking at. Um, but yeah, I think we're going to see that more and more with some of the other big players too. I think they're going to try to find other paths. just to cut down on some of those expenses, or maybe the whole community gets together and we all say, hey, let's just stop doing promotions and just
Looking at
let
Burbank, it
let
was 99 cents with free shipping.
with free
So
shipping.
it
Okay, there you
definitely was
go.
taking a loss.
There you go. So that was their loss leader, and most of us aren't going to do that because we would need multiple cards. Now, I'll do that. I will do 99-cent cards free shipping, but it's based on a quantity sale. So there's a way you can sell at 99 cents and not have it be a loss leader, because I can't
Right.
take those kinds of losses like they could. They also have in-store sales, and they sell wax, and they do grading services, and like they have all the thing. They run a big card show. Like they have all the, there's plenty of other sources there that cover up the 99 cents. Uh, and as we all know, as soon as you buy two cards at 99 cents, now you have a profit, most likely.
Right.
Even though it's free shipping still. So because it's probably a card they paid a penny for. you know. But yeah, if we can get some of those 99-cent sellers out of there, I think that would be beneficial
I would like that.
to the rest of us trying to sell, at least to an eBay customer. Right? Yeah. All right. Should we get to the chat? I think that's all I have
Yes,
to say about any
sir.
of that. How about you? You got more words? I say more words than you do, so I'm gonna let you say words. You have words?
I am not a wordy fellow unless you get
That's
me
true.
on a lecture of something. Like,
Uh,
if I'm teaching something, I'm wordy. If I'm just chatting, I'm not.
gotcha. Should we talk about following rules? Do we want to?
Ooh, and how you don't like to?
Who does?
Let's talk about
Rules.
the social contract for an hour.
The who? Rules are boring.
Exactly. The
Rules
what?
are boring. All right, let's get to the chat. Logical Collectibles is here. Oh man, time for another great night with the Dollar Box crew. You know it, brother. Thanks for joining us. I see Tyreek is number 1 on the top 100 list. Is that true? I haven't seen your
Well, I know he
football
got a
list.
99 rating on the new Madden. Did I lose you on that one?
Ooh, dang. I was thinking he was when I first read this, I was thinking he was number 1 on the liquidity list.
No, not at all. He's a receiver. He'll probably never be number 1 on the liquidity
Okay.
list.
Well, top 100 kind of makes sense. He's a pretty special athlete.
I don't know about number 1 though.
Right.
That's pretty lofty praise.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's got to be a reason why, right? I mean, what's measured in there to decide who's number 1 and who's not?
Not
I
height.
don't really know. Like, do they go by no. Um not faithfulness, to
No.
girlfriends.
No.
Yeah, I don't know. So, good for you, Tyreek. You keep running the ball. We need ray gun cards stats. I don't know who ray gun is. Oh, ray
Yeah, I
gun,
don't
is
know
that a
either.
wrestler or something? Yeah, I
I'm
don't
not
know.
familiar.
Open our eyes, Joe. Tell us who ray gun is. I don't know what that is. Sports section plus. Hey yo, yeah, sales have been
Oh,
through
that's
the
the
roof
break
for both
dancer. The
stores.
Olympic break dancer.
Oh. Yeah, I just turned her into on my Facebook. I just turned her to my background image. It's her doing the crane kick versus Daniel in
Karate
Karate
Kid.
Kid.
Yeah.
Couldn't resist. Yeah, Cobra Kai till I die. All right, no ray gun cards. My one-eyed cat has more talent than that. What's the hold up? Blink twice if you're being held against your will. We're here. We're here. We like to we like to kind of have a casual stroll in entry. That's sort of our MO at this point. Tyreek Evans? It's it's Tyreek Hill, I believe. I'm assuming. I mean, I'm just guessing, but I'm guessing he means Tyreek Hill. Just found out I'm a break dancer. I watched the Olympics. Yeah, that's about all it takes, I guess.
I've
I
not
got
seen
I
any of
opened
that.
I opened some Olympics packs, but it's all US athletes. And I
Yeah.
got a couple of breakers. I got some breakers in it. So that I thought that was pretty cool. Especially cuz those will be likely be the only cards ever for Olympic breakdancing because they are not bringing it back. So, I don't know, I thought that was kind of neat.
Sounds like that's a
And
good thing.
um I don't know, there were some really good ones, really good
Were there?
breakers. That I think I think the thing people struggle with is like what are they judging them on? Like there was no explanation of any of that and like oh she did these dips or he did these, flexy things. Oh, and he did us what do they call it? Where you like
He,
pause,
he popped and
It
locked
did
it.
yeah, and it's I think everybody watching it is like, "We don't know what the hell you're talking about." Like, right? Like, okay, so you have a diver go off the board, right? You don't need to know what all their flips and their turns and all that is, but then the judges go 9.8,
Right.
10,
Right.
8.7. Like you've got like you can go, "Oh, that's a good score. 9.6 out of 10 is a good score." That was a really it must have been a really and the commentator can say, "Oh, this is a difficult dive. There's multiple you can kind of get an idea of what's going on even if you've never studied diving in your entire life, but breaking is just and actually I posted this early on because I was surprised to even hear that it made it into the Olympics because it's like it's an art form, right? It's an expression and like how do you judge that? I mean, I guess
Yeah.
you could say that with ice dancing and some of those other
Well,
things too, but
yeah, in gymnastics, like you have the technical program and you
Mhm.
have what do you call
Yeah,
it?
like
The creative
freestyle.
program or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, so yeah, I kind of thought that after I'm like, okay, I get this, but what do they have to do? Do they have to do a certain number of um stalls? Do they have to do a certain number of like head spins? Like what's required here to I mean, I don't know. It's just very very odd as an Olympic sport. All right, Dan is here. He says, "What is up, everyone? I have a problem, and I need to call the Wildcard Anonymous hotline. I just bought a breaker's brick of Wildcard Paul Skeens." It's funny you say that because I was thinking of doing that too because my Skeens cards went so fast, and they sold out really fast at the National too. Um, and that's kind of what happens, Ethan and I were hell. I've on this channel. I've been talking of wild card forever, and you guys are all, it's non-licensed. As soon as you get to that booth at the national, you're screwed because their stuff is so cool and value. You get like a really cool card for not much money, and they're all serial numbered, and it's just awesome stuff.
Yep.
I love the backgrounds they choose. I'm kind of hoping to get away from like the America thing, at some point where because now it's like flags in the background, and I get it. It's an Olympics year, it's an election year, all that kind of stuff. But I'm hoping they do some other cool like pictures in the background. Like, wouldn't it be cool to have like different woods scenes, right? So it's like Paul Skeen's pitching, and there's like an owl in a tree with glowing eyes behind him, and you know, did you see Topps is coming out with a is it Topps? Yeah, Topps. Is coming out with a Halloween set. I think it's for football, maybe?
Oh, that's Panini. That's
Panini.
Scare
Is it
Treats
Panini?
or whatever, something like
Yeah,
that.
I was like, "Okay,
Yeah.
cool." Yeah, yeah, because it coincides with their, Halloween Pokemon packs that they
Yeah.
do every year. They give out to trick or treaters. And I was like, "Perfect," because I buy the Halloween Pokemon packs every year, and I give them out to any kid who's dressed as a Pokemon character in my neighborhoods. And they're very popular, and they actually have some good resale. The stuff that I don't give away, I will sell, of course. And I've sold quite a few of the cards. You get one foil per pack, and they're not very expensive. It's like $18 for 64 packs or something like that, or
Okay.
34, 60 packs, I think it was. It's three card pack, nothing fancy. Um,
Hmm.
no ultra rares, no, nothing really super cool like that. But um, yeah, I was excited about that. I'm like, finally, somebody's putting because the I love the Topps holiday cards.
Yep.
That baseball does every year. Do something for Halloween. Do something for I think Easter they did. They had like an Easter egg, you know, hidden eggs in cards thing last year. They did with
Yeah.
like Topps Now or something like that. Um, so yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing some more creative side types things. But Halloween cards would be awesome. I'd buy Halloween cards every year if they came out for sure. Joe is here. He says, "What up, boys?"
What up?
He is going to the East Coast National in White Plains, New York, and Comic Con in CT. I think that's Connecticut, right? If I remember
Yes.
my okay. Well,
Connecticut.
that's awesome. You'll have to report back to us on how it was. I'd love to find somebody who's going in our chat, who's going to Fanatics Fest. I'd love to bring you on the show. I think it'd be fun to have that a guest on.
See if you can get Rhea Ripley to join you as well.
Right. Livy Dunn. But anyway, yeah, have a great time at the East Coast National. I've heard good things about it. I don't think I'll ever get there. New York just doesn't make a lot of sense. I've been trying to go to New York Comic Con for a long time. I got a lot of friends out there. When I was big in that Comic Con circuit, it almost came through because I've been to all the big Comic Cons, but that one. Um, so I almost made it out there, but it's just I don't know. Traveling to New York just stinks. I'm not a big fan. So
Is that just because you have to go through New Jersey?
well, I would fly, so I would fly through New Jersey, so probably not that big a deal that way. I don't. I've been to New York City a couple of times. It's just not really for me. There's a lot going on, and getting hotels there is kind of a pain in the butt. And um, back then when I was doing the con stuff, I probably could have just stayed at like crashed a buddy's house or something. But anyway,
That's what I'm saying. That's why everyone flies to Newark and stays in Jersey
hmm
and then drives to the city.
right, right. That's true. That's true. Yeah, it's also very expensive, so there's that.
Yeah.
But I love California. I love going out to California. It's obviously LA is its own mess, but outside of that, there's the weather's always nice, landscapes are nice. You can kind of
Yeah.
get to different areas pretty easily. Um, you can get stuck on the 101, but outside of that, you can kind of I don't know. I enjoyed it out there every time I've been out there. In New York, I was like, this is a little stressful, especially if you don't know where the hell you're going. There's that too.
Yeah.
Troy is here. He says, "Good evening. Great video today on inventory today, Adam. See, Charlie, he watches my videos.
I
Attaboy,
got through some of
Troy.
it.
Attaboy, Troy. Yeah, you read the title. Congratulations.
No, I actually turned
Oh,
it on.
oh,
I had it playing on my
oh.
desk for a while.
No way. You told me you didn't even know I posted a video that you didn't get a notification.
Well, I didn't know when it was posted, but I
Oh,
assumed it was today. But sometimes that's
I'm just,
wrong
I'm
too.
just, I'm just breaking your balls. I don't care if you watch it. I heard last week that Burbank was still adding last week. They will literally add cards on there until they turn the whole thing off. I'm convinced of that. They're not going to
Yeah.
like not have sales, while Fanatics Live is being set up. I truly believe um I truly believe they're going to stay just as active on eBay until the whole thing has to move over. How have your national pickups sold? Well, I did in the video I posted today. I did a bunch of sales in there, and I had a lot of sales from the national in there as well. But very, very well. A lot of the stuff that I bought. Now, obviously, I haven't listed everything yet. I bought 8,000, 9,000 cards, so it's going to take a while. But the stuff that I've listed on there has done pretty well. I sold a couple more Goonies cards today. I made sure that to mention that in the video, Charlie. Um, that
Great.
I sold Goonies cards that you didn't get. Um, but yeah, I don't really worry about that. The stuff, I always buy some stuff that I take a chance on. And I even say that when it sells. I'm like, well, I don't know anything about it, but I thought I bought a bunch of Alias inserts. I've never seen the show. I don't know anything about it. I know it's Jennifer Garner, um, which I've sold other cards of her before, like Daredevil and stuff like that. So I bought a bunch of Alias inserts. I sold a couple of them. Okay, great. These do okay. I bought some X Files. I bought, and this was a sale that I had in the video today. I bought a bunch of Tales from the Crypt cards. Horror stuff always does pretty well. I
The
got a
Crypt
bunch of them
Keeper.
that, yeah, the Crypt Keeper. I bought a bunch of them that have like the comic cover art on them, which
Okay.
when you buy Marvel cards, those do really well, with Spider-Man covers on them and stuff like that. So, sold a couple of those. So, yeah, that's definitely a time to try to take a chance and do some expansion when you're hardly paying anything for those types of cards. And then there's other ones where I'm like, okay, a 600 card stack of Goonies, just transfer them to my box because those are not staying here. Those are going home with me no matter what. And I've sold, let's see, the national end was what, 3 weeks away? 3 weeks ago now? Jeez, time flies.
2 weeks, right?
And 2 weeks. I've sold like 70 some Goonies cards already. So, and granted, one buyer had bought quantity of two different
Well,
cards, but still, they still sold at my price. So,
it was 3 weeks ago already. Time's
three,
flying
three
by.
weeks ago. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it is.
I
Um,
was just talking to
oh,
Jenny
here we
about the
go.
Goonies cards
Right
before the
on target.
show.
Which cards?
The Goonies cards because
Mhm.
I had some 92 Silver Surfers I still hadn't listed yet. So I grabbed a few of those, and Jenny saw those. She's like, "Where'd you get those?" And I said, "I think it was Oshkosh or Fond du Lac. It was the show where Adam got the Goonies cards at the very next table because I stopped and went and sorted my stuff."
Yep, that was Oshkosh. Yeah. Those surfer cards are good too, though. I've
Yeah,
sold a
yeah.
ton of those. I Every once in a while I'll sell them down a little bit, especially, I'll have somebody buy like 15 or 20 of them at a time, and
Mm-hmm.
I'll just go buy another lot. We were talking before the show here. Um, I just bought literally like minutes before the show started. I bought a pretty good sized lot of 1977, the first series, the Blue Starfield, is what they're called. um, cards number 1 through 66. So basically, I just buy as big a lot as I can get for a good deal. I list them all. Now I can just scan them and list them, which is amazing. And then they just kind of get plucked out. I'll sell a few here each week, and when I start looking at my pile, well, they before I bagged them, I had like a spot in my drawer where I had the 77 Star Wars, and as the pile would get smaller, I would just order another lot and list them and keep going, and that's been working pretty good for me. But um, uh, so anyway, to respond to your comment, Joe, no, I will not stop hoarding the Goonies cards. No, no, I'm a good, kind, and gentle man, and I will resell them at a profit. So if Charlie wants to buy them, at
They're
three,
available.
four. Yes, they're available. He can purchase them. I'm happy to send a big package of Goonies cards to him, and so it's not like I'm going to keep them forever. But yes, when it comes to buying them for inventory, they're all mine. Top 100 is based on peers and how they rank it. Okay.
But is that like a
Uh,
Sports Illustrated list or ESPN or NFL.com? Like who puts that list together then? That's what I'm wondering.
hmm, yeah, I don't know. I don't pay attention to any of that stuff because to
Oh, it's the
me,
NFL.
I only care about players that have hobbies. So uh, let's say Derek Carr ranked number one. I wouldn't care because I can't sell the cards. There's no buyers. So, to me, I like the liquidity list makes a lot more sense for me than kind of
Well,
these
yeah,
top
because it's
player lists.
very focused on what we do.
Right.
Um, I did see ESPN's fantasy focus rankings came out, and some surprises in the quarterbacks. Like Aaron Rodgers is near the bottom of the top 100 now. Well, Jets. Um, Jalen Hurts dropped way down. So there's some guys like that. CJ Stroud still isn't as high as I would have thought either after that great rookie season.
Okay, so you got to remember, CJ Stroud's a sophomore. Not usually a great thing
The
for a
sophomore
quarterback.
slump.
Yeah. Usually I mean, there's exceptions. You got Peyton Manning, Dan Marino, had an amazing second season. So there's certain guys that can climb past that, especially if you have a good team. But yeah, it's not going to be as easy as it was last year, I don't think.
One, they're going to have a tougher schedule, so yes.
Right. Right.
But at the same time, they loaded up and added some good pieces around him too. So,
I think okay, so if you were a team last year preparing for the Texans,
mhm.
you're like, okay, well, this is a game we just got to get through until because next week we play the 49ers, who are good.
Yeah,
And I'm not saying that they just slouch off any NFL team, but I and you're you're a football coach. I think maybe the prep is going to be a little different this year. There's more tape, right? There's more you can
yeah,
watch on him now and see where he goes. You understand more of his favorites, like who his favorite receivers are,
yeah,
what
yeah.
types of plays he likes to run, which way he scrambles. Okay, well, he gets pushed out of the pocket. Does he normally go to the right? Does he go to the left? Like, there's all these things that are there now. And there's college tape. I get that, but it's not the same. You don't even have the same players.
You're right about that, though. I think last year a lot of teams said, "Hey, rookie quarterback, he likes to run. We're just gonna put pressure on him, make him run, and make mistakes." And then where everyone was surprised was how he had some poise in the pocket and picked apart some defenses.
Mhm.
So you're right; they will adjust this year, but at the same time, they brought in Joe Mixon, they brought in Stephon
Mhm.
Diggs, like they're all in on making a push in the playoffs here in the next 3 to 5 years. So it helps that they're putting more weapons around him.
Sure.
Um, it'll give him more opportunities.
And
I
I also look at like in division contests to change.
Yeah,
So these other teams that are in the division now are going, okay, well, this is what the Texans can do, and they have this quarterback. Now I'm going to get this uh, seek and destroy linebacker, for my defense, where he can just watch his eyes and he can be responsible. I mean, other teams change other things to sort of adjust to that team that came out, is really good, you know. And sometimes it works,
yeah.
sometimes it doesn't. If you're a dominant enough team and you're a good enough player, it really doesn't matter that much. But it's his second season.
I mean,
That's my point.
at the same time, you look at their schedule. Who do they have? They got the Colts, they got the Bears, they got the Vikings, the Jaguars, the Bills, and then the Patriots. So they got the Packers on their schedule, and then Colts and Jets and Lions. So they've their schedule isn't that much tougher than it was. They do have the Chiefs on their schedule. Titans, Ravens. You don't know what you're going to get with them yet, other than Lamar. So I don't know. I am the so I think I've said this before on the show. I am not a fan of Ohio State quarterbacks. Like they
Mhm,
flop more times than they succeed, right?
mhm.
And they have great college success, but then they get to the pros and they can't adjust to the game. So CJ Stroud won me over last year with his play, and I am a believer now in CJ Stroud. I'm on the bandwagon.
I just know that, everybody's running out and buying all the Strouds, and, I mean, can you say Davis Mills? Can you say Mac Jones? Can you say, um, there's a lot of quarterbacks that kinda have a hot run. when early on, and then it just doesn't really. And I'm not saying CJ Stroud is any of them. He could be Terrell Pryor. I mean, who else could be Terrell Pryor?
Yeah.
Um, but you know what's funny? I'm just looking right now at my sales. I literally just sold a Olympic breaker card. I don't know if you can see this. Let me go to solo mode here. See if you can see this.
Oh, wrong solo mode.
Oh crap. All right, so let me unsolo you. Oh, that's why, because I clicked on your screen editor. Hold on. Here we go. Solo.
There you
I don't know. I don't know if you can see that. He's standing there with like a medal around his neck. Can you read that at all?
go. No, it's all fuzzy.
Eh, it's hard with the. I can make it bigger. I don't know if that's gonna help, but
I suppose I could just go to your sales and pull it up for
yeah,
everybody.
yeah. Why not? You haven't scraped my sales in a while. It's Jeffrey Lewis. He's a rookie. I call it a rookie because of course it's his first card. Break dancer.
Jeffrey Lewis breakdancer.
It
Ooh.
says Jeffrey, who's
Yeah, I see
b
it.
for his b-boy name is b-boy Jeffro. Very creative there. Is a
Yeah.
Houston native with plans to take his global dancing skills to Paris for the 2024 games. Lewis has been breaking for more than 15 years and took home the silver in the world games. So apparently this is a sport like a pro am sport outside of that. I didn't know that either.
There he
And I
is.
didn't sell I don't think I sold it for much. What'd I get? $1.99 or something? Yeah.
$1.99. Yeah.
Um,
He he's just happy to be there from the looks of it.
just happy to be there. He does
Yeah.
have some medal. I saw he had some kind of medal around his neck. I'm like, well, did he win something? But that might have been from those world championship things or whatever.
Yeah, it's really long to
Oh.
be an actual medal from the awards
Yeah, I would
or
say.
from the Olympics. Huh.
Yeah, let me get rid of the comment. Then there he is. There's Mr. Jeffrey Lewis. Yeah. So kind of funny that we were just talking about it, and there it goes. Maybe it's one of the viewers that bought it.
Born
What
in
you guys?
1994.
Yeah, I know. Stop reading stuff like that. And just all it is
Jeffrey, whose
depression
b-boy
inducing.
name is B-boy Jeffro.
That's what I said. It's
I
very
know.
creative,
I know. But
Jeffro.
it's different when I read it.
Oh, okay.
It totally is.
Um, I believe you. I totally believe you. Yeah. So anyway, get your breaking cards while you can, people. I have a couple more. I didn't get any parallels of the breaking cards, but I killed it on the curries. I got a case hit curry, um, and then a couple of refractors, a couple of the inserts. I did really well. I had somebody in my video today too. I had somebody buy a bunch of the curry stuff, so I paid for my whole buy with like 3 cards that I sold,
Yeah.
which is kind of nice to get that money back like within a day. Doesn't always happen that way when you open boxes. And I opened a box of metal too, Skybox metal,
You had a
and I
nice
got a
run of
Jor
sales on the greatest running back ever today, too.
Barry Sanders.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, Barry stuff it's always hot. Let's see. Troy says he also buys the Pokemon packs and gives them out at Halloween. That's right. It promotes our business. Even if you don't sell Pokemon cards, getting cards into kids' hands is still a good thing. I know a
Yeah.
bunch of um collectors and stuff that are like, what do I do with my commons? I know a bunch of them that'll make up little packs and hand them out at Halloween. So you can do that with
Sure.
sports cards too. If you've got a bunch of commons or dime box stuff, you don't want to deal with, you can just pack them up, give them out to kids. Lasts longer than a Snickers, that's for
That
sure.
is true.
But they don't taste as good. Let's see. You can make 2 to 3 sets from the entire package that you buy. Correct. I don't make sets, but you're right. I got like 3 to 4 copies of basically every card. Those last year there was a Mewtwo foil in there, and I got like $5 a piece for those. It was crazy. So
Wow.
I think I had 2 of them. So I must have one of them must have been in a pack that I handed out, which is that's awesome because that's the whole point of it. But when I opened the remaining packs, I had 2 of those foils, so I paid for, like, almost the whole pack with just the 2, Mewtwo cards. So, yeah, those Halloween, Pokemon packs, not bad. I keep waiting for them to go on sale. I see some of the ones from last year still hanging around at, like, Meijer, and I think Walmart has some, but they never drop the price. So if they dropped them down to, like, 5 or $8, for a big bag of those, I'd buy them. You know? It's a cheap way to get into some Pokemon. That's the
Yeah,
way
for
I look
sure.
at it. There's, I mean, Pikachu is in there, and, like, the more major Dengar, and, some of the more major Pokemon are in there, so you guys have buyers for that stuff. Joe just received a message from a buyer saying some of the cards have bubbles. Any idea what he means as they are vintage 1977 Burger King Yankees cards?
Print spots, right? Those little tiny print spots.
Yeah, they there's a couple different terms for it. Yeah, some of it is just a printing defect where it'll be like a little white circle printed somewhere on the card. Sometimes you'll see what they call like the snow effect, where it's like all little white dots all over the place. That can happen. Also, you can get bubbling if the card gets wet. So if those cards ever got wet, you'll get like the cards are the paper's basically in a couple of layers, and you'll get like a bubbling on the surface of the layers. So it's kind of hard without pictures and stuff, and or knowing what happens. Kind of hard to say, but um, yeah, Burger King Yankees cards. Those sound pretty cool. I'd buy those. Max is here. He says, "Good evening." He didn't call us gentlemen, so that's good. Andrew says, "Adam, are you still doing your massive 40 to 50% off if someone buys a ton of cards from your eBay store?" I have 2 coupons running right now, and yes, one of them is a 50% off, 10 or more. Up to $50. Up to $50. It's ranked by the players in the NFL itself. The NFL put it together. I thought, wow, I can't talk. Um, Charlie, you read that one because I know it affects you more when you get to read it yourself.
Oh, we're gonna carry that forward now.
Yeah,
It's just weird to see that printed on the card.
yeah.
Whose B-boy
B
name
boy
is?
Jeffro, like it's
Yeah.
pretty bad. That's bad. You know. Although although it's funny because when I was in grade school, yes, grade school because I'm old. I remember when Sir Mix-a-Lot came out and he was huge. I'm like, his name is Sir Mix-a-Lot. Like it sounded like a really bad because remember all the stuff for kids back in the day had some cartoon character attached to it, right? Like so you had Kool-Aid, you had the Kool-Aid Man, you
Yep.
had the Pillsbury Doughboy. Like they all had these lame names, but there were these Avoid the Noid, with Domino's Pizza and
Dominoes. Yeah.
yeah, Chester Cheetah, and you had what are some of the cereal ones? You had like um who was the Frosted Flakes guy?
Tony
Tony
the
the
Tiger.
Tiger.
Yeah.
Tony the Tiger. Like they had all these lame names, and I'm like, Sir makes a lot. Like, dude, you sound like a corny kids Saturday morning cartoon commercial character. And yeah. I don't think of it that way anymore, but I remember as a kid thinking Sir Mix-a-Lot was like the dumbest name for a DJ rapper ever. And it is, right? Think about it. You've never really thought about it because
It's pretty lame. Yeah.
it's pretty lame. I mean, and granted there's like Ice Cube and Ice T and like, there's some other ones that I guess would if you didn't know who the person was, you would think was pretty lame, but
Yeah.
anyway. Dan says being a big Ohio State fan. Ooh. I agree with you, Charlie, about the QBs, and I was never a Stroud fan when he played in college until they played Georgia. He looked like a completely different QB and shined. So maybe he's just that good. Maybe he's like he needs the right competition to really shine. There's a lot of players that were like okay in college and really excel in the pros, and you're like, well, how can that be? You'd think they would have better competition in the pros, but there are people that need that. They need that challenge. Maybe he was bored a bit in college. When Ohio State's playing these teams and they're winning 56-7, Um, how is that quarterback really going to stand out? Like they're supposed to
Yeah.
win by 50 points, and then you're up by 50 points by the second quarter, and all you do is hand the ball off. Like, you don't really get a chance. There's no like testing, right, of that player. And then they get to the NFL, so that they play average because that's all they have to play. And then they get to the NFL, and it's like, wow, geez, I got to be able to throw the ball, and I got to run, and I got to
This is a lot
manage
harder.
time, and yeah, it's harder, and I like it. Like this is going to fuel me to be a good player. You're also playing for millions of dollars, and that makes sense. That matters.
Right.
Um, so there's some drive there, especially these rookie quarterbacks. They don't really get. I mean, he was number one pick, right? I believe Stroud.
Was he
I
number
think
one? He was definitely a first rounder. I don't remember if he was
um,
the first pick.
because if you're not a high pick, you don't make any money. I mean, Purdy was making less than a lot of the kickers in the league for the last few
Yeah.
years. I mean, he got a paycheck now, but um, yeah, I remember before the Super Bowl, it's customary for the quarterback to buy their linesmen, all these lavish gifts and stuff, and he didn't have any money, so I think Nick Bosa bought him or something for all the linemen to help him
I
out.
remember
So
that. Yeah.
yeah, it's kind of funny, how that has to go, but yeah.
I did
Uh,
find one of my vintage cards with the spots we were talking about. If we want to show it once, see if that's it.
sure.
And I think Max has got it there too. Another name for him is fish eyes.
Yeah,
But
fish eyes.
right in here are those little printing spots
Yep.
where it says Chicago White Sox. That's what I was thinking about when you said
Mhm.
that.
Yep.
But I have also seen the bubbles where some moisture gets in there and maybe a
Mhm.
piece of the cardboard bubbles up here or there. So it could be that as well. But like Adam said, you'd really have to let us see that card. But um, these printing spots, I actually see them quite a bit, like on this Chicago White Sox team card. Um, what is this one? A 74, I think. Yeah, 1974 tops. Um, so it's not all that uncommon. In my case, like I downgraded it to excellent, I think, from near mint because of that. Because the rest of the card is in good shape. It's just the
Right.
printing spots there. So yeah, let us know if it's like that or if it's something totally different.
Yeah, it's really hard to without photos, it's almost impossible because it could be impacted by so many different things. Could just be humidity. If you live in Florida and your cards are in an apartment without air conditioning, you know,
Yeah.
you could end up with because I've seen cards that are like wavy, right? That
Yep.
kind of do this. Well, a matter of that's a matter of moisture too. So they don't necessarily bubble, but they'll have like a wavy pattern to them. So um, they're just paper, Those old
Yeah.
cards, they're literally just cardboard. So anything you can imagine that can happen to cardboard of anything else, an Amazon package box, anything that can happen to that could happen to a baseball card, an old baseball card. Um, Ohio State is known for its wide receivers. That is true. Uh, Fish eyes, yes.
Yeah.
Young was one. I don't know what that means.
Right. Bryce Young was one.
Oh, yes, Bryce Young. He was picked first.
Yeah.
I can never remember the order of those.
Alabama. That'll do it.
Stroud was supposed to be first, but Wonderlic, etc. was bad. What's Wonderlic? I don't know what that is either.
It's kind of like a quarterback IQ test that
Oh,
they issue at the combine.
yeah. I don't pay attention to any of that stuff. I don't care who runs the fastest 40. I don't do any of that. I wait until the player comes out and see where their hobby is. um, as a card guy, not necessarily a sports
Sports
fan.
guy.
Yeah. I mean, I think we all sell some cards of some sports we don't really watch, right? Like
Sure.
how much soccer do you watch? Not a lot.
Very little.
Do you watch a ton of baseball other than the Brewers? Maybe not. Do you watch a lot of I'll sell some NASCAR and some F1, but I don't watch any of that stuff, you
Yeah.
know? But I'll watch a lot more soccer than you do. I could tell you about the leagues and the players and the teams
You
and,
can pronounce the names.
I can pronounce a lot of the names, yeah. Um, I didn't know anything about breaking, but here I am. I sold a breaking card tonight. So, there's a yeah, I don't think you because I've actually had somebody comment that to me before, like, "Well, why do you sell sports cards if you don't watch sports?" And I'm like, "Well, it doesn't really like, it really doesn't have that much to do with it." Like, if you collect sports cards, you're probably gonna like, I can't imagine collecting a player if you don't watch them play. That doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
But you can sell anything if there's a profit in it. Like, you don't have to be into it. I know a lot of people who sell car parts, and they don't work on cars,
Yeah. Yeah.
they just sell car parts. Um, so, yeah, they're not mutually exclusive by any measure. I'm hitting the water pretty hard tonight. I went for 2 bike rides today, and, that's excessive for me, so here I am.
It's been a hot
Barely
one this week out on the
barely
practice
made it.
field. I'll say that.
Yeah, well, that doesn't bother me. I love it. The hotter, the better for me. But I might have mentioned this in the past on a show, but I'm really trying to get my daughter into riding a bike. She has some fears with it. So I'm trying to get her to do more hills, and which where I live, there's a lot of that, and just building up her confidence. There's some things she needs to do with scouts. There's some cycling requirements this year.
Yeah.
Um, there's like some hiking ones and things like that, and cycling, and she really wants to get the cycling badges. So um, trying to take her out in little batches to
Yeah.
try to get over some of that. And she did an amazing job today. So I was really, really excited about that. She wanted to decorate her helmet. So we went to the store tonight. I needed some hamburger for dinner. So um, went to the store tonight and I bought her a sticker book of these really cool, scary, she likes creepy stuff.
Yeah.
um, so these little creepy character stickers. And I said, "You can earn a sticker for your helmet every time we go out and, you work really hard on your bike." So she was pretty excited about that. She got a couple stickers today for to decorate her helmet. So, things are going well that way. But yeah, I'm not used to that. So yeah, hydration is going to be an issue for me for a couple hours, I'm sure. Used to do that. I used to ride my bike when I worked in Alloway.
Hmm.
I rode my bike from De Pere every day. That was my only mode of transportation.
Yeah.
For a couple of years when I worked out there, and I loved it. It was so great. It's just so I really enjoy running the most, but my body is just too well, it's out of shape now, but even when it was in shape a few years ago, it's just so hard on your body as you get
It
older.
is.
It's really not very good for it. Even running through the woods, and I'll run in toe shoes. So just like the feet where it's got the toes in it with the separate pads, so that your
Yep.
toes individually um climb things is probably the best way to put it. So I did everything I could, to make it as best on my body as possible, but yeah, I had to just kind of realize that long term probably wasn't going to be the best thing. So I'm really
Yeah.
excited to get into more biking. I think it's a lot of fun. Do you guys bike a lot? I know you used to.
We did for a while. We don't do much of anything anymore, other than
Yeah,
busy lifestyles up north, and coaching football and stuff like that. But yeah, we when the kids were younger, we did a lot more of it. But it's been a number of years now.
yeah, and I think that's it. They get to once she hits 13 or 14, she's not going to do anything with us. So
Right.
these are like our few, final years. There's still some things in scouts she wants to get accomplished. So there's some extra motivation there, and it's just different now. When I was a kid, you couldn't keep me inside. I didn't even have anybody teach me to ride a bike. I just got on the damn thing and went because like that's
Yeah.
how I got
Yeah.
around. I would take a buck's worth of quarters out of the couch cushions and go to the gas station and buy penny candy and some fireworks and go blow up GI Joes on the dirt bike track and,
Yeah.
break my arm going off a ramp and
Till the
that's what
streetlights came on.
yeah, I mean that's what we did and it's like these kids in my neighborhood, none of them even go outside really. So, they
It's
wanna play video games and work on their tablet and create emojis and make videos and, nothing wrong with that, it's just different. So,
yeah.
I want
Sometimes
I
sometimes
don't
we're a
want
little bit to blame on that too, though.
yeah,
Like our kids, for the last couple of years, I've given them the okay to walk home from school and walk to school in the morning, which gets them out some more,
yeah,
Um, and mom has kind of shut it down. But now she just got a new job that's going to require a little different hours and some travel. And I had to sit down with my boys and say, yeah, you're going to have to start doing some walking. And they're like, we wanted to, mom wouldn't let us.
yeah, I mean, I for years and my mom and my dad both taught at the schools I went to.
Yeah.
And I still walked to school pretty much every day, rode my bike to school, when I got old enough to do that, and,
Yeah.
I love that. That was that gave you some of that independence. I also think there's different pressures on the parents these days to you let your kid walk to school this day and age, every kid's
Right.
getting
Right.
snatched off a bike and blah, 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 and it's like, "Come on." Um, and my kid's school's, like, less than 3 blocks. It's closer than when I was walking to school, I'll put
Right.
it that way.
Right.
And there isn't a single kid that walks to that school. I've driven her to
Mhm.
school. She takes the bus because why not? They offer it. But I've driven there, several times for different reasons. I have to take her to school or pick her up from school. There isn't one damn kid that walks to that school. Not one.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, how can that be? There's like 200 kids in this school and none of them walk.
Yeah.
It's just car after car and bus
Different.
after
Yeah.
bus. And yeah. And there is like one slightly busy-ish road that has the truancy officer always sits out there, and there is a crossing guard, so it would be safe. But there's one busy-ish road. It's basically the road everybody has to drive into to get into the school. So that's the
Yeah.
only reason it's busy. That's it. Everything else is like my neighborhoods. I hardly ever see a car in my neighborhood, other than the people who live here. So
Right.
it's just totally different. But I don't want her to get to her more adult years where she's not gonna do this stuff and then, like, never learn how to ride a bike. I think
Right.
that would be kinda sad.
Right.
Even
Yeah.
if biking doesn't become a big thing for her, I still want her to, and even just to overcome some of those anxieties and things like that,
Yeah.
it's not the activity itself, it's more like go out and do stuff. You're like, "Well, I heard that some people fall off of bikes." So what? And you get back, "Well, I could get a scratch and I could," oh my gosh, like, dude, I had, like, 3 broken arms and a collarbone and toes and a bit through my tongue. Like, I did all that stuff before the age she's at now. She's, and I'm not saying I want her to go get all busted up, but, you know anyway, I just want her to live she signed up for soccer for the 1st year this year, and it was awesome to see her
Yeah.
out there and running around with the other kids and playing the ball and getting some, she was tentative with the ball and, getting in the mix and all that, and she came through a lot of that and learned some team skills, and there's just certain things that I think physical activities can give you that sitting on a tablet can't, and
For sure.
I think both are important. I don't want her to not have any online skills or any skills because too bad, it's here and it's not going away. They need to
Yeah.
have that as well, um, but, it's not one or the other. I don't think it should be one or the other, so
That's where up north really is nice for us to have. The boys go up there on the weekends with us and they're outside from sun up to sundown a lot of times. And it is, they're on the zip line, they're on a
mhm.
trampoline, they're on a four-wheeler, they're hiking waterfalls, just, whatever they can find to keep themselves busy, and they love it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's great. I think you have the right mix that way. You have your, like you said, we don't do much because we're so busy and we're running around, we go to school. But then you have that place where you can go where you're like, okay, you have to put the tablet down. That's not a thing here.
Yeah. Hmm.
This is a different world, and I don't have that, so I have to kind of mix. Now the world I live in kind of has that because we have our own woods and our trails and our crick and our own wildlife. I had to wait for like a family of 20 turkeys to cross the road yesterday morning before I could go anywhere. Because they have all their younglings are out right now. This is that time of year for them. So anyway, we have that, but it's hard to. I think it just gets one gets more comfortable than the other, and you just do that and not
Yep.
get off the YouTube and go outside. Well, there's no one to play with. Well, you're not wrong, but find something to do physically, you
Yes.
know. So anyway, enough about me. Max says every QB and round one offensive skill player was hobby for the first few sets of the year. That is true.
Yeah.
You're correct. You can. I don't do a lot of that because I don't buy a lot of new products. I don't. Um, I'll buy the cards in like value boxes and flip them and stuff. But yeah, I usually try to let that player become more of a stable investment. I didn't run out and buy a ton of Mac Jones when people were paying, $1 million for 101s and stuff like that. I have a few Mac Jones, so I wouldn't. And actually, I had a Mac Jones 1 of 1 that I pulled out of a pack, but I sold it as soon as I got a decent offer for it. Like
Sure. Yeah.
the odds, even if a quarterback is good in their first year, like Stroud, right? The odds of him winning 3 Super Bowls and making it to the Hall of Fame is still not very good.
Right.
So you need to take your money when you can get your money, and I think that's where a lot of people have problems in the hobby. Um, and me being somebody who doesn't watch the sports and like fall into the athlete, that helps because I don't really care. I could care less about CJ Stroud. If he
Yeah. There's
never
no
plays another
attachment.
game, it doesn't matter to me. Huh?
There's no attachment. No
Yeah, I haven't.
emotional attachment.
Right. I have no investment other than the card. So anyway, Max wants snow so he can go away. We don't want any of that stuff. Uh,
Uh oh. Uh
Pokemon
oh.
Brothers. Haha. In my defense, I trust the boys, just not other
Sounds like
people.
Mrs.
Ooh,
JC3
mom's on.
hacked the boy's
Mom's
YouTube
on
account.
there. I love it. That's awesome. You tell him,
Speaking
Jenny.
of Mrs. JC3, so I mentioned she got a new role that she accepted. I don't know if I mentioned it
Awesome.
before, but she was going through a reorganization at her employer, so her role was being eliminated, and she got something new nailed down with a nice little package. And what do you think the first thing I said was?
How many days vacation do you get?
Can I sell cards full time now?
Man, oh. The obvious one. Um, so what'd she say?
The answer was no.
Yes. Oh,
Not
okay.
yet.
Okay. Yeah, you need more listings for that.
Yeah.
You're going to be well short of that for a while. Going slowlier. I made up. What was the word I made up earlier? No, I'm going with slowlier. That's good too. I'm just
It
making up
fits.
my own language tonight. Um, yeah, and I get just to respond to Jenny here. I get what she's saying. I mean, I feel that way too. Like if Luna was actually like, "Oh, I'm just gonna walk to school today," especially by themselves, like it's not so bad. Well, first of all, you got boys, and sorry, but that does matter.
Yeah.
Um, and my person is so little. It's like there's no way she could defend herself against anybody. And other kids, like I said, nobody walks to school, so
Yeah.
she'd have to walk by herself. I'm like, I can't do that. And I have all the woods around me and stuff. Like, heck, even if it wasn't a person, what if we have a little black bear that likes to visit once in a while because he likes the salmon in the creek over here, in Duck Creek. And what if she runs into a little black bear? I mean, even that would be not so great. So,
Yeah.
and there's a couple of dogs that run loose once in a while that chase the deer and like I don't know. So I get where she's coming from. It is tough, especially when it's like, well, I could just drive them to school, or they could just get on the bus. Like, when there's an alternative. I think our generation, when we were kids, it was like parents left for work. Nobody worked from home, so everybody left for work at like 7 in the morning, and it was like, okay, well, you're gonna have to find a way to get to school because we're both leaving. There really wasn't much option. So
Yeah.
I don't know. All right. Let's see. Lofi Joe, you mentioned trading in your video. What's the most unique non-card for cards trade you remember making? Ooh, putting me on the spot there. Um, Probably I did sell a couple of my old Packer tickets from games that I attended, which I kind of wish I hadn't done that. Shouldn't say sold, traded them for Favre cards. So I had actually, I can show you. I got to take my earplugs out first.
Trading is not something I've done a lot of. In fact, I think at the National, that might have been the first time I did any trading when Ethan and I traded some cards back and forth.
So I worked for the Packers for a bunch of years. I don't know if I told you guys that, but I have these field passes from all the games that I worked at, stadium operations. My dad was a member of the Packer band for like, I don't know, forever, 40 years, something like that. And back in the day, they used to actually play at the game. They didn't have um, pre-recorded music that they played, like they do now. They would literally set up on the sidelines and have microphones and sound equipment and all this stuff. And that's what I did. I got a job doing that. So I would wheel out all the amplifiers and all the microphones and the cords and set all that stuff up and then, manage that stuff throughout the game. Um, so I kind of feel like, okay, well, I don't really need the tickets to the games. I have the field passes, which are sort of better,
Yeah.
I would say. And a lot of them are from, like here's one, September 21st, 1997. So that was the year. Was that the year they won the Super Bowl or the year after? I think that was the year they won the Super Bowl.
I think you're right.
97. So like almost all my field passes, I mean, I have probably 20 or 25 of them. So obviously it was more than 1 year. I think I worked there like 4 or 5 years. Um, but a good portion of them are from the year they won the Super Bowl. I can't remember if it was 96 or 97. I think it was 97. Well, technically they won it in 98, right? Because it's after January.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it would have
Technically.
been the 97 season. So this is the season from the Super Bowl because this was September. So this is like versus the Vikings here. Um, Southeast corner benches. So there's a little stamp on here. Look at how old this stuff is, right? You'd never see this now. Like they would never let you in with this at a game. And I used to go into the visitors' locker room and they'd have like signed Randall Cunningham footballs lying around. You could just grab and like it's so different now.
So
Um,
Super
but
Bowl 31 was actually the 96 season. The Super Bowl was
was it
January
96?
26, 1997. Yeah.
Okay.
Desmond Howard.
So so I do have those too. This is not from that year then, but anyway, so they would literally just take like this was my gate entrance, which was right off of the visitors locker room because that's where all the sound equipment was before they redid Lambeau. And then they would just stamp on there where I'm supposed to be. So it says southeast corner benches. I don't know if you can read
Okay.
that. So that's where
Yep.
I sat. I sat in the southeast corner benches, right by the heaters, which was really nice in the winter games. And once I got all my equipment in there and I got everything set up, that's where I was for the game. So the year they won the Super Bowl with Favre, I was on the sidelines for every one of those games. It was pretty cool, including the NFC Championship game, which I think was the only NFC Championship game they ever hosted. Correct? Because
That I don't know.
Super Bowl 1 and 2, there was no NFC Championship games
Right.
then. And the NFC Championship game when they won with Rodgers, that was all away games because they were a wild card team.
Yep. You're right.
So the NFC Championship game that they won in a Super Bowl season, the only one they ever won was that year. So
Was that against Carolina?
yes,
Okay.
yep, Kerry Collins.
Yeah.
So
Yep. That
I
was that.
remember I remember that because I was in the visitors locker room. And you see these guys all the time. I saw them all the time, so I didn't really think twice about it because they're so big.
Yeah.
I mean, they're bigger now, but they were big then too. But I remember watching because Kerry Collins was like one of the first like bigger quarterbacks um, in the league, and I remember watching him come out of the locker room like, dude, that guy's huge for a quarterback. And now he's like not huge, I mean, compared to some of the guys in the league now,
That's true. Yeah.
um, but yeah, and he was good. I mean, he was good for a few years,
I
because
thought he was solid.
that was his sophomore year. He was
Yeah.
drafted in '95,
Yeah.
so I mean, he made it to the NFC Championship game the following year. That's pretty good.
And it was
If
all
Stroud
downhill
get
from
right, if Stroud gets to the championship game this year, that would be something,
there. Yep.
for as good as a rookie season as he had. The Here's the thing. So, did anybody expect Stroud to do what he did last year? I would say most people did not, correct?
Not as much. No.
So, what are the expectations on him this year? Different?
No, they're even higher.
Right. So, he could go undefeated and win the Super Bowl, and they could still be like, well, he threw 9 interceptions this year. That's how it works. That's how cards work. Don't get fooled. This is just kind of my quick watch yourself type of rant. But don't get fooled by well, as soon as they accomplish this, then the price goes up. No, because that all has to happen before that.
Yeah.
So, prospecting and things like that it's not performance isn't as big of a deal, especially on those top draft picks, because they already have what you call draft equity, right?
Right.
They have a built-in inflated price just because of the draft position. And people know the name and they already are doing commercials and they have an active Twitter twat following. Um, so that's already built in, and the expectations for them to win things are already there. They have to do way above and beyond that to get to anywhere. Your best bet is to find a guy like a Mahomes, a guy who isn't supposed to really do that much, and then he wins a Super Bowl like first year he's on the field essentially, um, full time, and then he has this little froggy voice, and he's just goofy, but he doesn't make a lot of mistakes. He doesn't say the
Right.
wrong things, even though he's surrounded by some people who are kind of morons. But um, he does all the right things, and he wins these MVPs, and he shows up to training camp every year, and he does. Those are the guys. That's the guys. There's a reason I was buying Mahomes in 17 and 18, and I've held his stuff. I haven't sold any of that rookie stuff, um, because he's the type where you can keep earning some more money on it on top of it, and obviously winning Super Bowls is you know a must.
Right.
To be honest with you, it doesn't. I mean, look at Nick Foles. He's won a Super Bowl. Nobody buys his cards, so that doesn't even guarantee you anything. And you got these guys, these Strauss people paying $200,000 for a Stroud one of one. The guy hasn't done anything. Like I don't get that. It's really weird. Go buy Joe Montana rookies, at a deal. Go buy Tom Brady stuff. Hell, go buy Favre stuff. Those are all longer potential for growth. I get it. You want the home run. You want to pay $10 for something now and sell it for 1,000 next week, but it's just not. It doesn't really
It's
happen.
it's no different than stocks and bonds, though, right? Like
Mhm.
people
Sure.
like the flashy high risk stocks. Hey, it's either a home run or bust, right? The mutual funds and the bonds, they're not as exciting, right? So even though
Sure.
you're probably guaranteed a better return overall in the end because they're more stable investments, they're not as flashy and exciting, so people don't go for
Right.
them as much.
It's gambling. That's more
Yeah,
gambling than investing. There's two
yeah,
different things.
true.
So, because Stroud, if you want to compare it to stock, Stroud is basically a stock that has a PI ratio of like 300, right? So he's selling three times more than what he's actually worth
Yeah,
already. So he has to do enough to make his stock go up three times just to hit what people are actually paying for it.
right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Um, so
And that's
that's
why so many of them don't do it.
right. So I always rip a few and I even started my video today with that. Like I get messages from you guys like you actually opened something. I'm like, yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Um, it's fun. I think that's good to do. I'll buy a few, a couple small boxes of some football product this year. Maybe I like my big league baseball stuff. I'll buy a big lot of random Bowman, first year Bowman baseball cards. I don't really buy boxes of that stuff. It's super overpriced in my opinion, but um so I'll do some of that. I think you have to do some prospecting, but I am not going to go out and buy a $10,000 Stroud card. Not even if I had 100,000 to spend on cards, I wouldn't spend 10 grand of it on Stroud.
Sure.
There's no way. It just the prices are too high for what it is. You're not going to get there. Um, now, it's kind of funny because my sales are just tying into everything we're talking about tonight. But I just sold a 2023 Skybox Metal Universe football card of Alex Mago. Do you know who that is? Or
No.
Magoo? I can't remember how you pronounce it. MCGOUGH. He was the USFL's MVP. Ooh, am I getting feedback? Okay.
A little bit.
Um, yeah, I think my cord wasn't plugged in all the way. USFL's MVP after throwing 2,100 yards and a league leading 20 touchdowns for Birmingham in 23. Quarterback completed 67% of his passes. So he doesn't even play in the NFL, and I sold one of his cards for $3. Like,
Yeah.
though, that's the I don't know. I like that stuff. To me, that's the stuff that's worth taking a risk on. Buying some alias inserts, at 2 cents a piece. That's a good gamble, you know. Because there's just so much upside potential. None of the potential has been met yet. So, your sky's your limit. I can't see Stroud can go undefeated, win MVP, and win the Super Bowl, and I don't think his card's double. I don't see it.
Yeah, that's fair because they're already high.
Yeah. So you're trying to buy into something that the the potential isn't there. It doesn't have the room.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
he's not gonna do that. He's not gonna go undefeated, win MVP, and win the Super Bowl either. So, like, the reality, I mean, even if you just look at the actual, odds, I guess technically he could, but the odds of that are so, so slim. And you need that to happen just to get an increase. Like,
right.
I mean, I guess if he wins a couple of playoff games, he could get a little bit of a bump, but and then how many years does he have to do that before now he starts going down? Like, was Josh Allen ever going to win it? Was Joe Burrow ever going to finish a season without getting hurt? Well, is
Yeah.
okay, great. Lamar Jackson keeps winning the MVP, but he hasn't won anything. And then, oh, Rodgers won a Super Bowl. Great. We're going to have 10 Super Bowls in Green Bay. No, that's not. It's so hard to do what these guys need to do that you just buy Mahomes. Go out and buy Mahomes stuff. If you want something that has a real long term, growth potential, though, that's the kind of stuff. Who wants to buy Mahomes? He's already done stuff. But that's why he's going to stay in the conversation for a long time.
Right.
Brady stuff, Montana stuff, all those guys.
Agreed.
So, are you getting a video delay at all?
Yeah. It's been all night though.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Is that you or is that me?
It's hard to tell. I hope it's not you because,
Yeah.
I put all my stock in this TDS fiber that's coming in because of the improvements. So I'm going to be pretty bummed if I get it in and it's still some of the same problems.
Honestly, I think what happens a lot, because I never have any problems with anything that I use, other
Mhm.
than sometimes on here. So it's either your end or it's StreamYard. I think StreamYard has to.
Could be.
There's a lot of things that are on at night, and I think they just kind of have to spread it out a little bit, and you get some lag
Sure.
from that. That's my guess.
That makes
We're
sense.
also streaming live to YouTube, and YouTube has a lot of traffic.
Yeah.
It's funny. It's funny how different YouTube can be. I can upload a half-hour video in the morning, and it takes like 9 seconds. and then I
Okay.
can upload a half-hour video at, like, 4 p.m., and it takes, like, 8 minutes. Not that 8 minutes is a long time, but that's a lot longer than 9 seconds,
Right. Right.
you know? And I know yours has to upload, like, overnight.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm impacted by, how many people on the block are on their internet too, because it's the same line coming down the block, right?
Right, right. Yeah, your bandwidth is what's most important, how far can you spread it out before it
Yeah.
taxes on it, and yeah, fiber, I'm still in all the way. It's a amazing product for sure.
They're getting closer to prepping my neighborhood. We got some of the early notifications, but nothing that gives us an actual date.
Hey, as long as you gave them your $25, it's basically just patience and waiting,
Yeah.
and whenever they get to
Hmm.
you, they'll get to you. Um, it's not something you necessarily wanna push through faster either because you wanna make sure they do it right. There's a lot to it.
Right. Right.
They have to it's still for as much as it's, less wiring than cable line, it's still wire. Like, they still have to run
Right.
everything. It's not, it doesn't come through the air. Um, so, yeah, and that fiber optic line, they have to take a lot of extra care with it because you can snap that line. So,
Okay.
and even when they get it to your house, you wanna make sure that they bury it correctly. I actually had them come back and redo mine because they just subcontract some,
Right.
digger service or whatever, and it was tough because neither of the guys that I was talking to out there spoke English, so I was trying to explain to them, like, "No, you have to run it under my drive. I have 2 driveways," so I'm like, "You gotta run it under the driveway and
Right.
up to the house. It's the only way you're gonna get here," and, like, they just were so confused on what to do, and, um, so, you gotta kinda take a little time with the physical logistics of getting everything to you, um but my sales guy was great, and my tech was awesome. When he came, he knew exactly what to do. He did it all right. Everything booted
Okay.
right up, and we were ready to go. So, and even power outages, I haven't had any problems. I've had to disconnect the um, uh, modem a couple times, just moving furniture around where it was located and stuff like that, and I've
Okay.
had no problems. And it can run when the power's out. You just got to have a hook a battery up to it.
Nice.
Um, so I could, as long as I have battery on my laptop, I could still work, which is good
Yeah.
too. So what's Jenny doing now? Or don't you wanna say? Is
It
she
will still be in
same
the
line of
same
work
line of
or
business and
okay.
same organization's parent company. So
Oh,
so it's pretty
wow,
pretty
that
nice
worked out well.
transition. Yeah,
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I bet she's relieved because I know that's not fun to
absolutely.
have to
Yeah, there's
run
always
around and
that
try to figure that
that
out.
period of unknown that causes a lot of anxiety, right?
What if
So
what if I
the
can't
minute
find a job?
yeah, the minute you
Yeah.
have some firm answers, it's like all that stuff melts away, right?
Mhm. Yeah, and then you just gotta get nervous about a new job and get through that for a little while.
Yeah.
And how long will
don't
this one last?
don't say
There's that
that.
too.
She's
Yeah.
watching, remember. Now she wasn't
Yeah,
nervous till you
I
said
know,
that.
I know. Yeah, well, the reality of it, and that's sometimes when people will say that to me, like, "Well, aren't you afraid? You're not gonna," and I'm like, "There's no guarantee in any job anyway." So,
No, there's not.
you can work for someone and they can pull that rug out from under you, and you got nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, I've been there.
At least this, yeah, same. At least this is something that I can control, and no one can take it away from me. I have to screw it up or
Yeah. Mhm.
the world has to change pretty drastically for baseball cards, I think, to go away.
Yeah.
Um, and even if they do, there'll still be people after the old ones. So, uh, yeah. Anyway, let's see. Dan says, "So, do you have your next great card show thought about so you can advertise for your next show during your first show?" Well, that we kind of have to get together and go over some
Yeah.
stuff yet
It's a
to do
great
that.
thought.
Yeah. But yeah, that's exactly what I would like to have planned. I think we're just mostly concerned about getting all the tables booked, and um, I got flyers out to all the local shops. got good relationships with them, so they agreed to put some flyers up for us. And I haven't gotten out to Tim's yet. I should probably run out there yet,
Okay.
and drop some off there. We've got Cardboard Legacy. We've got a sponsor who owns a shop about 45 minutes south of us, and they've been helping us do some promotion. And they've got flyers in their shop, and um, talking to some dealers and trying to get them hooked up with us too. So we have some tables left. We're doing pretty good, but we definitely have some left to book. So we'd like to try to fill it up, um, and then we can really start making a plan for the next one because we know for sure, we've got something, or we
I
might have
was
to go
told
smaller if that's
tonight
the case.
that uh, calls and requests are really picking up. Like,
Okay.
and we did tell them to expect that as we get closer to the event, things will book up a little bit faster. Start getting more requests. Not everybody works, a month or two ahead of time. There are plenty of folks that 3 weeks before is when they start thinking, okay, I'm going to see if I can get a table. So things have
Yep.
picked up this last week, and it's still looking good that we're going to be a sellout.
And I think that first one is the key, right? So that because
Mhm.
then people know you're good. The show went well. There'll be video, that we'll make of it. There'll be pictures. Dealers will be like, "Oh yeah, we did the goat show. It was great. I'm going to sign up again." You get
Right.
repeat dealers, right, who want to keep their spots. And um, so yeah, we're really just focused on this first one and getting this nailed down. And I think you know shows after that we can spend more of our time. We don't have to spend as much time on just getting it out there.
Right.
We can spend more of our time on like improving the show and doing additional things for the show. We do have some good giveaways. Um,
Yeah.
we've got the I actually have it here. Show. I think.
You must have it close by.
I do. Just trying to see if I can get a hold of it here. Okay. It's kind of an odd shaped box. Like you can grab it with one hand, but barely. It's like palming a basketball. At least for me, it's not. I can palm a basketball, but I have to kind of work at it. You know what I mean? So it comes from Pristine Auctions, so completely legit that way. We've done a lot with them. It was from the National, and of course, it's got our certificate of authenticity with it. Let's see, where is it here? Now, this is the one thing that's kind of oh, it's Beckett authenticated. That's right. The one thing that's kind of different for us is it's a Green Bay show and it's a Minnesota Vikings helmet.
Yeah.
Kind of controversial that way. Um, but yeah, it's one of these like white matte finished helmets with the black Viking horn on it, and it's signed by Randy Moss. So I don't know if you can see that there.
Hall of
I
Famer.
can go, I can go solo here. So yeah, Hall of Fame Randy Moss, one of my favorite wide receivers. He's not so loved in Green Bay though. Um, but here is the barcode notes from Pristine Auction. So it says Vikings Randy Moss authenticated, signed Lunar Speed. So that's the name of this like paint job. Lunar Speed mini helmet witnessed, and then it's got this code. If you go to Pristine, you can look up that code, and it shows their witness of it. Um, Here's the Pristine Auctions barcode, and then on the back, oh yeah, it does say Lunar Eclipse right up here. I never realized that. Um, and then on the back, where is it? There's a Beckett authentication on here somewhere too. Can't remember where it is. Isn't it on? It wasn't it on the helmet box? Oh, there it is. It's on the helmet
Yeah.
itself. So you can see there's the little Beckett authentication logo and the QR code. So if you scan the QR code, it takes you right to this particular item's authentication. So quality piece that way. Um, some people are like, some people say, why would you even want an autographed mini helmet? It should all be full size helmets. But honestly, I think, especially if you're going to have multiple helmets on display, um, I think you kinda want minis, right? Like, how many big helmets are you gonna really want?
Yeah, like
So
just
they're
looking
kinda
around,
nice
like
that way.
how would I display full size helmets? And I don't know that I
Right.
would, but the minis, like, I have mine in a nice. Let me grab it. I have a nice little display case. It's easy to move around, and um, it just if it was a big helmet, it'd take up so much room. But like, it fits in a nice little case. You got a nice Jerry Rice number
Mhm.
80 there. Um, so it it's just convenient. I can put this on a shelf anywhere, or on a table, or whatever I want to do. Um, but yeah, I like the minis for collectibles. I think it's much more manageable if you got to transport it around. That's the way to go.
And I think it's easier to, like, show it to somebody, like, you're not grab this giant helmet. The only time I would say there's an exception to that is if it's game used, because obviously a mini helmet's not gonna be game used.
No,
Um, so
maybe in
right,
Beetlejuice.
I wouldn't. Yeah, right, yeah, the shrunken heads. So, if it was a game used Randy Moss helmet, well, that would be, then you would obviously the life size would be what you would have, and it would up the, experience, right? Because he signed played in it and signed it, but, 99% of the ones that are signed full size ones that are signed out there were signed at shows,
Yep.
probably not even in person, and, um it's a full size helmet, but it certainly wasn't game used. It's just
Yeah.
a Rydell, boxed helmet and they unbox 1,000 of them and the guy signs 1,000 of them and that's the end of it. Um, so in that light, it like the memorabilia piece, there's really no difference between a mini and a full size.
Yeah.
A little bit of cost, I guess, but it's neither one is game used, so it doesn't really matter that way. Like
That reminds me.
baseballs, it's like, well,
I gotta go dig out my
go ahead.
authentication certificate because I don't have it in the little case. I have it up in a folder upstairs in the file cabinet, and I haven't pulled that out in a number of years. I should probably make sure I still got it.
Yeah, I mean, it does matter. I kinda like how they do it now where they put it right on the piece
Yeah,
versus just
yeah, that
giving
is
you a
nice.
piece of paper. I mean anybody can make a piece of paper, that says, "Hey, this thing is real." I've always liked, Favre's authentications. He was one of the first athletes to really he has his own hologram logo that you can't copy. Anything you buy that's signed, like that's up Favre authenticated, comes with a photo of him signing that actual piece. Um, you know, a hard, ooh, a hard printed like Kodak photo.
Did you just have an earthquake?
Um, like we used to have, kind of. I just jacked my mic, man. I was coming across and just woo, bitch slap that thing. Um, So, I always liked that. I was like, "Okay, well, there's really no questioning this." It does come with a piece of paper, Farb
Right.
authentication or whatever too, but yeah, it has a legit photo of him, leaning over with the marker signing the thing, and I always thought that was a smart idea. Just, because I don't know if you remember this, but you remember, was it Blueprinting, I think was the name of the company in
No,
Ishwaubenon, who was selling fake Brett Favre autographs?
no, I
You
don't
remember
remember
that?
this story.
So yeah, years ago, it was probably right around that Super Bowl time because that's when signed memorabilia and game use stuff. That's when that stuff kind of started, really taking off in value. And this paper printing company in Schwaben, so just a block or so from the stadium, was selling like Brett Favre signed cards, but they were fake, and they got in big trouble for it. I actually think it kind of
Sure.
put them out of business. Um, But I think that sort of drove him to be like, "Oh, I should probably,
Do something else.
if I'm gonna put my name on something, I should authenticate it." And I know what everybody's gonna say, "Well, what about the other stuff he's been doing?" Well, whatever. If innocent until proven guilty, I would like to say. I would give that benefit of the doubt to anybody else too. If they wanted to charge him, they would have done it by now.
Yeah,
Right? So,
you're probably
because
right.
I think I just read an article on that. Like they have to charge them within like the next 2 weeks, or the window expires and they can't do it. Um, So it's like, I doubt you'd wait till like the 11th hour to do something like that. Usually, if you have
Yeah.
something, you want to get somebody in right away. But um, anyway, let's see. Back had someone stop by. Well, that's awesome. I hope it was somebody good and not the police. More, more cards only because we were talking about it, not because Max is did anything wrong, of course. Um, More cards. Love mini helmets. That's what I collect. Yeah, I think if you're gonna be like a helmet guy, uh, maybe if you had like one player or you wanted like a special inscription or something, you might want a full size helmet. Just because it's easier to have more writing on it. Um, like I could maybe see myself having a full size Favre because it's really the only player I collect. Well, I'd love a Messi. Obviously not a helmet. They don't wear helmets. Um, But I love, something signed by him, but that's probably never gonna happen. His stuff is outrageously expensive. But a
Golden
full-size
can hook
Favre helmet
you
maybe I would do because I wouldn't. Yeah, for the right price, yeah. Um, Because I wouldn't have, like, a bunch of other helmets. But if you're like, "Oh, I love Ohio State players, and I wanna collect these Ohio State signed helmets," like, mini helmet like, you're gonna have to do mini pretty much, unless you have a ginormous space. So, even, like, soccer balls, when I got my, when I had my Team USA ball signed when I was, in the tournament in Holland, I bought a full size ball and had all the players sign it. A lot of the guys bought the little we call them juggle balls, so they're not even a size 3. They're just these little tiny. They're a little bigger than a hacky sack, but they're soccer ball like, right? So they're sewn together leather, um, with a full bladder. They're not a beanbag or anything. But anyway, a lot of them bought those to get them signed because they're like, well, this, I got to bring this giant soccer ball home. Um, so what I did was because all the balls they had at the tournament were already inflated. So what I did was I just stuck a needle in it when I got back to my hotel room and I deflated it and folded it as flat as I could and I threw it in my luggage. Um, but I don't think a lot of the other guys had that kind of foresight. They just saw giant ball. How am I going to get that home? And went with the minis. But it's so hard to sign, like to have. We had, I don't know, 14, 15, 16 players. I can't remember exactly the final count on the team, but it's so hard to get that many signatures on a ball like this big. So, but it's unfortunate because most of them are signed in like ballpoint pen and stuff, and they're gone. Most of the signatures aren't on the ball anymore. And did a good job. I kept it out of the sun. I did, I have it in a plexiglass case, and I did what I could with it. But yeah, they just that stuff just fades over time. Now I just have the story and the ball.
You know what I think of every time you talk about playing in Holland?
Hmm.
I am from Holland. Isn't that weird?
Yeah, it's weird. It's made
Gold
of
member.
gold. It's made of gold. Yeah, isn't that weird? Oh my god, Mike. Should we talk about Mike Myers again and how awesome he is?
No, man, we better not start because this will go until midnight if we get going on that again. This was
Dude,
this was most of the trip at the national when we weren't on the
yeah.
national floor. We were talking Mike
Most
Myers
underrated
or
comic in history. Guy is amazing. Don't sleep on Mike Myers. If you feel like if you haven't done any Mike Myers, this is the last thing I'm going to say about it. If you haven't done any Mike Myers in a while, sit down in a open, you know, fun-loving frame of mind. Watch a good Mike Myers movie, and you'll be just totally hooked. The guy's just amazing. And some of this, unfortunately, some of the stuff he did, I don't think he could really do anymore because it's a little non-PC.
yeah,
Um, I think he's a gentle enough person that he could probably get away with a little bit more than some other comics, but the environment isn't quite right to do a um, ethnical joke Austin Powers movie, right? I
right.
don't think he could do like he couldn't do a gold, and all that kind of stuff anymore. Remember the fembots? The fembots were amazing.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
These boots are made for walking.
the shot with their boobs. That movie was amazing. Sharks with freaking lasers.
Yes.
Wish he wasn't apparently difficult to work with. He's easily my favorite from that era. Nice. Um, yeah, I don't know. I hadn't heard that before, but I mean, maybe that's true. But I still have a feeling if he put out a quality project, he would find enough people that wanted to work on it with him. Maybe he's aged up a bit now too. Maybe he's a little more chill about it. He
That
doesn't
could
really
be.
have to make movies for money. Maybe he wouldn't even be the director or the producer. He would just be in the movie and do his characters. Maybe he'll write it, but he won't, do all the directing portion of it where that's where I think actors struggle because they try to do both. And he plays like 5 characters in every movie he does besides.
Yeah.
Um, but maybe he would just make a good movie and just have fun and because I know that's what he did with How I Married an Axe Murderer. He wasn't the like producer and director. He didn't do all that stuff. He was just in it. So um I don't know. But yeah, I would love to see more from Mike. And he's from Canada. Like, how bad could he really be?
Eh?
Right? Yeah. Hyper Hypo Kid, Sprockets, Simon. Oh he's something. I always thought he would do some kind of project with Adam Sandler, and it never happened. And maybe that's the thing. Maybe they don't get along, or they try to do something together and it didn't work out. I don't know. Because I'm pretty sure Adam Sandler is easy to work with, or at least that's the impression that I get from his people. Uh, Steve Buscemi and you know, but they could have made something really cool. I don't know if they could really do it now because Adam Sandler's more like not goofy, funny parody type,
Yeah.
But maybe that's perfect for him too. Maybe it's like, yeah, I can come out now and do something like this. I made my Gems movie and I did my serious roles, my family films, and all my stuff with Drew Barrymore, and I got all that out of the way. Now I want to make a Billy Madison movie,
Yeah.
with Mike Myers, and we're just gonna do goofy, stupid crap, and it'll be awesome. Because I think that I think film is starved for something like that a little bit. I can't think of anything in like super recent times that's like that. You know, um, maybe like Good Burger, or there's a couple of those things out there, but
Yeah. Maybe
even those are
because
not as
everything's so
good.
sensitive, they're all afraid
Yeah,
to do something like that now.
yeah. I think it would take the right comic. Like I don't think you like Will Smith could go out and do that, but I think he could do something. He's as gentle. Well, maybe what I'm finding out is that's not true. He's hard to work with in the industry or whatever, and people
Well,
don't
he's
like
like a
him.
perfectionist, I think.
Probably. Um, but I don't think anybody feels threatened by Mike Myers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think he could come out and do some jokes, and like he's made these jokes forever. It's like um the Blazing Saddles guy. What's his name? Spaceballs guy.
Mel Brooks.
Um, Mel Brooks. It's like, come on, it's Mel Brooks. Like this guy's been making this stuff for years and years and years. He doesn't hate anybody, um, or he hates everybody equally. That's probably a better way to put it. Uh, so I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Max says he was blackballed. I don't know. I haven't read anything like that. I guess I don't follow any celebrity stuff, and I don't twat or follow any of that either. But um, I know he had an issue with, was it Kanye or something? They were
Oh.
together and Kanye said something really stupid at like an award show with him or a hockey game with him or something like that, and
Hmm.
that was like a thing. It wasn't him though, it was like the person he was with was the problem. But Trudeau is from Canada though, so be careful with that statement. With what statement? Oh, the because he's from Canada. I was kidding. I don't know. I don't care if he's from Canada. I don't even get involved in the politics of my own country. I certainly don't care about Canada. So, um, but yeah, I just think I just enjoy. I can sit down and just enjoy his movies. They make me laugh, and he always has awesome cameos and guest stars, or I
Yep.
shouldn't say guest stars, other stars in his movies, that I like. Um, he always creates really creative names for his characters, Felicity Shagwell, and
Yeah.
it just makes me laugh. Like, it's just don't take stuff so seriously. He makes fun of all religions, all different types of people, all different backgrounds, and makes fun of himself. Makes fun of Canadians. He makes um, I think it's great. Oh yeah, a lot,
A lot of
a lot,
vagina.
a lot of vagina. Yeah, um, yeah. I think it's just great stuff. Good to see. I would like to see some kind of parody on like Ghostbusters or something, because he always kind of builds his characters around like other things that exist, right? So like Austin Powers is like this wild version of James Bond, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's kind of what he tries to, and the villains are like that. Honestly, who throws a shoe?
Odd
Um,
job.
Odd Job, right? So he always kind of takes it off of like something we know, because that makes it funnier, right? Because we're like, oh yeah, it's like James Bond but funny, and who does number two work for?
That's right, buddy. You tell that turd who's
Yeah,
boss.
they're they're always after me, Lucky Charms.
Yeah.
It's a television commercial. The little leprechaun is running around. Oh, they're after my Lucky Charms. Like, it's just good. It's just good. Everyone can have some fun with it. Uh, Jeff says, "Can I join?" Yes. I don't know what we're doing, but you can join in whatever you like. We are open for membership. Um, Best name in Austin Powers, Random Task. Yes, Random Task was good too. Actually, do you ever watch The Tick? Like the cartoon or the
No, I
live
never
action
really got
series?
into that. I'm familiar with it
Oh,
though.
so good, so good. There's a newer live action series on Amazon Prime, so check that out if you get a minute. But there was a there was a superhero type character in, because superheroes have other superhero friends, right? So he was the Tick. Um, but he had this other superhero called Bipolar Bear. Okay. So it was this big polar bear looking type guy, this big white furred guy and stuff. And he's laying in bed, and the Tick calls him like, Bipolar Bear, we need your help. And he's like, I'll be right there. And he gets out of bed and he's like, I'll do it tomorrow. And he gets back in bed and lays down. And I don't know. I just love stuff like that. I mean, it's just a great creative name. Random Task. Yeah, I mean, that's great. Uh, let's see. Send
Oh,
link
Jeff
for
wants to join the show
StreamYard.
with us.
StreamYard link. Oh, like now?
That might be interesting.
Yeah, I don't know if we're gonna do that. I was young enough, so I didn't know it paralleled James Bond until later. That just made Random Task that much better.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes. Odd job,
yeah. There
random
was
task.
yeah, there was a lot of different type enemies and characters and stuff in those films, and even Doctor Evil. Because I think Doctor Evil was based on Doctor
Doctor
No. Is that
No.
correct? Yeah,
Yeah.
and and this crappy little hairless cat, and
Yep. Yep.
I mean, just everything was just Will Ferrell was one of Will Ferrell's very early movies.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, just great actors, great characters. Um, yeah, it was. I really enjoy his stuff. I hope he comes back out with something else. I know he was working on a new Austin Powers movie. For like the last year, he was writing something. So I don't know. Maybe we'll see that. I really
Nice.
don't. I really don't think I want to see another Wayne's World. It's so dated now. I don't know that it would really, like,
Yeah,
you
that
could do
wasn't
something
really
with it.
my favorite to begin with. Like
No.
yeah, I laughed at it.
Mhm.
I liked it more as the shorts on Saturday Night Live than I enjoyed the actual full length feature.
And it was designed as completely a '90s thing. No way. And I don't know. I don't know that I want that now. I don't think Dana Carvey could really pull it off. So yeah, I think that one could probably just stay as it is, and I don't want to ruin it either. But um, There's been a ton of James Bond stuff since Austin Powers 3.
Yeah.
So I can't see I can't see them not having enough material, you know? I mean, he can make jokes even about all the different changings of the James Bonds. You know, you have the different Bond girls. You can place several more of them in there and come up with some creative names. And, I don't know. He could do something off of, I don't know if he wants to get into that universe, but he could do something off of the strange world politics is in at this point. Um, Maybe have some fun with that because nobody's really tried to lighten that up a bit. Um, I don't know. I have ideas. Should I write to him or call him? Just
Yeah, just give
ding
him
a
a call.
ling, Mr. Myers. Call me when you're ready, and I'll let you know. Put something out there, and I'll be at the theater. I kind of feel the same way about Kevin Smith. Like every time Kevin Smith comes out with the of Clerks, you know who Kevin Smith is, right? Silent Bob, Jay and Silent
Yeah.
Bob, and he'll come up with a new movie, and he'll be like, "Oh, okay, I guess I'll go see it." And every time I see his new movie, I'm like, "Man, that was really good." It's like, how can this guy keep making this stupid crap? And I enjoy it every time because he just fits with my type of humor, and I love Jason Mewes. He's an amazing person. I see him. I've seen him at Skyline Comedy Club quite a few times. He does a
Okay.
stand up thing. Um, yeah, they're just so you just have those certain, I think, comics and comic styles that you get attracted to, and you just hope they keep making stuff. But Mike's getting up there. I mean, he's all white hair now. I don't know if you've seen him lately.
I haven't seen him lately.
Yeah, he's got. If you want to pull a picture of him up, since we've spent about 15 minutes on him now, we should probably at least show a
We've
picture.
spent the last hour not
Um,
talking cards.
right, which is kind of what free for all means, I suppose. And we were caught up in the chat. To be fair, we did address all the chat. Um, but yeah, I mean, he's getting the age on there now where it's going to start limiting some of the characters. Maybe he could do too.
Yeah, I'm looking for a recent picture of him, and
He's got well, maybe like very very recent, but within the last year or two, he had white hair.
okay.
I don't know if you see,
Oh,
see
oh
that or not.
yeah.
Yeah,
Um, let's see here.
random
think I
task.
think I can share this. There he is.
Yep,
Yeah,
that's it.
well, Silver
So it
Fox,
looks a little
right?
different, doesn't it? Yeah, a little different. Put a little bit of weight on, some white hair. Um,
Yeah,
but I was thinking about this and I'm like, oh man, maybe it'd be hard. But that almost opens the doors to a whole bunch of new characters he could do, right? When your look
yeah.
changes, that's when you're a like a physical change your appearance type actor with these different characters, and maybe that opens some doors that he didn't really have before. So I don't know.
He yeah, that picture was 3 years ago,
Sounds
and
about right.
he really hasn't aged well since then.
Nice. Yeah. That's a Mike Myers type joke. I like it. A lot of dad joke type crap in there, and
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
I mean, a lotta China. Come on. That's great. That's just classic. It doesn't get better than that. We actually have a card question here, so I guess we'll get back on track.
All
Um,
right.
and white men can't jump, so I like that. That's pretty slick. 90s Nick, he
You
says,
can't
"Hey
hear
guys, not
Jimmy.
sure not sure if you've mentioned it before, but do you have problems with eBay charging you the 30-cent fee on promotional orders? I do buy 6 get 6 free, and one order I'll get charged 90 cents for 3." No, I haven't had that. Have you? They charge you 30 cents for each card?
No, not unless they buy them individually.
Right. If they check out individual, it has to be all made in one payment because that 30-cent fee is not, it has nothing to do with promotions. That's like the financial transaction fee. So that's the cost for the third party completing the card transaction essentially. So, if you sell 6 cards and they pay for each, you know, card individually, yeah, you're gonna get whacked 30 cents for each one. That's why it's very important to make sure you have the box unchecked that says, require immediate payment and things like that. You want to be able to invoice those, or allow someone to buy whatever they want to buy and then pay in one
Put them in their
transaction.
cart. Yeah.
Yeah, put them in the cart and then check out. So hopefully that answers that question. But no, I've never had it where I've sold like three cards together and then it's charged me 90 cents. I don't see how that would even be possible, because that has nothing, like I said, that has nothing to do with the promotional fees. Um, and it depends. I don't know if you're looking at just the transaction fees overall. You need to go to your net proceeds and then see your fee details, and
Right.
then it'll break it down for you. Um, and it should have, like, mine says, well, I get a rebate on some of mine because I'm a top rated seller plus. It's like, here's a 3 card order, Simpsons card order I'm looking at that I just got like an hour ago. And so the fees for each card, the first one, it says 27 cents because I get a 3-cent credit. Um, and then let's see, 2.6 times 12. Yeah, 20. Oh, no, that's just the regular final value fee, though. I'm not looking at that quickly. Yeah. So here's your order $0 to $10 is 30 cents. So if your order is over, by the way, that's actually, I'm glad that came up. If your purchase is over $10, the fee is more than 30 cents now. I think it's 40 cents. Did you know that, Charlie?
I can't say that I did.
Yeah. So if you have an order over, but your fee details, I don't know if I can show this. If you go to the final value fee, which is like the second last one, it says 30 cents there, and this is on a 3 card order. So yeah, you should only ever see that as 30 cents. If it says 90 cents, it might be other fees that you're seeing in there. It might be the promotional fee added in. And then you just need to go to the fee details link, and then it'll break down each individual fee that adds up to that total. I'm trying to look for a $10 transaction. Um, let's see. Is it
Yeah, I'm looking at a 4 card
$15
order I
one?
shipped out today, and I don't see anything like that either. Where I
So
got.
here's where
Go
you
ahead.
got hit by it. Yeah. Um, here's a 10 card order, and you can over $10, and you can see it says 40 cents there instead of 30 cents. I don't know if you can see that, but just have to take my word for it, I guess.
Yeah, I
But
can't really.
any order you have over $10 does cost you an additional 10 cents now than it used to. It used to be 30 cents for any transaction. Um now it's 40 cents if it's over $10. Let's see. It happens to me all the time. Yeah, I'm not sure what exactly you're running into there. Bo is here. He says it's likely breaking the
Tony
order up
boy.
into multiple transactions. It is doing that because you have different policies for your listings. Could be your handling time, shipping
That
charges,
could be.
etc. Yeah. So if they're getting paid for in separate transactions, it's 30 cents per transaction. No, it won't say 90 cents, but it will be 3 orders of 4 cards and I'll get whacked 30 cents. Right, correct. You would get, yes. If it's 3 orders of 4 cards, you'll get 30 cents each of the three. Correct.
Right.
Because that is a separate payment on each three of those. Those are 3 separate orders. So you're getting 30 cents on each one. Yes. So you need to go back and look at your, like Bo said, you need to look at your handling times, your shipping charges, all those things, your shipping policies, all those things all have to match, or they're going to make them pay for each one separately. Yeah. So I don't know why you would be getting that so often though. Like, you should be most likely using the same shipping, the same handling time, etc. on each of those. Once in a while, I will have it split one up like that. But I have 48,000 listings, so I'm sure I have a few listings that aren't exactly the same. So I'll have it do that where, like, I might get a 20 card order and 15 cards are in this payment, and then 6 cards are in the other payment or whatever. So I get hit 30 cents on each one, or 40 cents if it's over $10. So
A
I'll have
quick
that
way to
once in a great
tell if
while, but
The quick way to tell if you've got some of that going on is go to your business policies, because every time there's something different on a listing, it creates a new policy for it. And you can see how many cards are in each, for example, payment policy. You might have 3, 4 different payment policies, even though you didn't set them up knowingly. And it'll
Mhm.
show you how many cards are in each one. I go
Yeah, that's
through
that's a
pretty
good point.
regularly and reconcile them to move them all to my default.
Yeah, that's a great point. I haven't done that. I probably should, because it does happen, like I said, especially when, like, over the national, when I screwed with my policies a little, excuse
Mm-hmm.
me, a little. I could tell a few of them, maybe didn't change back the right way, or I didn't change them back, whatever. So,
Well, and with
um,
using CDP now, sometimes the
mhm,
way CDP sends
change
it
it.
up is slightly different from what I had in my default.
Mhm.
So I've had to make some adjustments there.
Yeah, and you just change it to your default, right? So that they're all
Yeah.
matched.
Hmm.
Yeah. And let's see if we can tell them where to do that in case they have questions. Can you tell them where to find that in case they have
Oh, I
questions
thought you
on
were
that?
going to pull it up. Yeah.
Well, I was gonna, but I have 12% battery left, so I'd rather have you do
Oh
it. That way, if I get
boy.
bounced, oh, those
The,
those laptop batteries, dude, you only get a couple hours of juice when you're streaming. It's not
yeah.
so great though.
So your business policies, you can see them in your listings. Here, I'll share my screen.
Yep.
So on the left-hand side of your listings page, you can see your business policies. And there you can see all the different policies that are set up. So I've got my defaults at top. I've got a default payment, return, and shipping. Over here on the right-hand side, you can see how many cards are applied to each of those policies. And
Mhm.
even here, you can see, okay, I've got 207 and another shipping policy. That is likely because I uploaded them on CDP and something was a little different.
Sure.
But you can actually change the policy for these listings, and it's going to give you your drop down. I'm going to choose my default there and hit change, and it'll work through changing all those now behind the scenes. Now, I will tell
Mhm.
you, if you have offers out on anything, it's not going to change those.
Yep.
So a lot of times it won't do everything you select at once, and that's
Mhm.
kind of why I go back periodically,
Mhm.
because there's typically always offers out there extended.
So yeah, great question, Nick. I don't think that's something we'd ever really brought up before. I've done that in the past, and you're right. I think CDP sort of throws a wrench in some of that. Also, if you're doing like sell similar or sell one like this, and you're listing it on your own, that could be different too, because you might be getting the policies from that previous seller that listed. And if you don't change them to yours, you would have differences there. So, all right. I think we'll end on that note. We helped some people, so we can go home now. Um, Bo has one more input here. I had a huge problem with this, and none of the eBay support could answer why. Reached out to multiple eBay employees on LinkedIn and finally got a Zoom with one of the execs for managed payments. Ooh, that sounds fun. Nick says, perfect. I'll look into that. Bo, I hear you had no clue when I talked to them. So frustrating. Every person I talked to kept saying it's because your buyers are paying for items separately, which was false based on buyers telling me and timestamps on the orders. I agree with Bo. There's no way that that would all be, especially when they pay it in chunks. Like, why would they pay for 3 cards and then pay
Yeah,
for 7 cards? I don't even know if you can do that. If you got 10 cards in your cart, can you only pay for 7 and then go back and pay for 3? Like, it doesn't make sense. Especially, and then the orders come in at the same time. Like, why would you even do that? It doesn't make sense. Huge help, guys. Really appreciate it. You're welcome. Well, Charlie says you're welcome, and Bo says you're welcome. I didn't really do anything. I supported the question and the answer because I think it's a good one. But yeah, those are your tech helpers for this evening. But I brought them all together.
with his probably now 10% battery.
Peace and harmony. Yeah, it's probably less than that actually. I also run my studio mic off of it, so yeah, that kind of eats into it too. 6%. Yeah, so that's it. Any parting shots from you there, sir?
For me, it's just the normal. Peace out. Take care of each other.
You can't sell what you don't list. Later, folks. Wednesdays, 8 o'clock Central Standard Time. Don't miss it.